Good morning. Good morning to everyone. My name is Caterina Fortun, and I will moderate the session today. So I'm very excited of the space that we have for us today. We will have 45 minutes. And I work for the European Commission. I have experience in cohesion policy, and now I have been working intensively on climate adaptation, mostly, also with the Covenant of Mayors, supporting the cities, municipalities, communities, and also with the European Climate Pact. I'm really happy that today I can welcome Stefania, because Stefania, she's an expert in the field of climate, in the field of adaptation. She works for the municipality in Genoa, and also she is a coordinator of the climate portfolio or climate agenda of the Urban Agenda. And what's interesting that today we will listen to the story of Genoa, the path to resilience. And yeah, most importantly, I would say is also to share the tips or share the story about funding, because I also work in finance, and it's not always easy to find proper private funding in the field of climate resilience adaptation. So we are more used to mitigation, but I'm also curious how to really trigger private investment and how to create partnerships in the field of resilience and adaptation. I will also just remind a bit the housekeeping rules. So now Stefania, she will have 30 minutes for her presentation. In the meantime, you can please mute your mics, and also if you have any questions, you can start writing your questions in the chat. And I will see how it goes, how many we are. If we have time after, we will have 15 minutes for replying to questions, taking all questions. And if there is space, I would also like to give you floor to raise not just hand, but also, well, raise the hand first. So there is some order, but also if we could encourage a bit more of debate. And yes, if there is time, and maybe also with regard to the number of participants, if we could create a more lively discussion. And we need to finish by 9:45 sharp, because 9:50 they will just cut our session. And I also want to invite you, there will be another session. So we have 3 sessions in a row on adaptation. So always from a different angle and different perspectives. So, but I still believe that it's very interesting and helpful. So please stay with us and mute your mics. If you want to write your question in the chat, please do so. And also, if you have any questions, then please raise your hand. And with this, 9:05, so I'm happy with the time. As a good timekeeper, I pass my words to Stefania. Please.
Hello, good morning to everyone. I hope that all of you can hear me. I'm really honored to be here as a representative of a municipality that could tell a story that sometimes is not so easy. And also in regards my role as coordinator of the Climate Adaptation Partnership or the Urban Agenda for the EU. So a big mechanism, a big experimental process that put also all together member states, main stakeholder, scientific representative, the world of the research, with people belonging to municipalities, so to the cities. Cities, you already know, that are that context that really face the challenge to climate change related effect, especially in adaptation to climate change, their ability to improve the measure to minimize and to reduce the climate related effect, especially for people, goods, and really livelihood. I hope that my story is, well, not appreciated, but is a starting point to debate and to discuss. So please don't be shy. May pose your question, because we tell one story. but there are so many stories to to be told to the people, and this is a really wonderful opportunity. I bring with you a short video that will present in a nutshell for the people that already take the coffee, an introduction of my presentation. So I will really thanks my technical angel to to share the video to all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I hope that this really short nutshell could help you also to follow my speech, and then I will try to show you my presentation. And yep, so I have to move this. Okay, can you see the screen? Yes, it's running. Okay, so we can start primarily to know where we are, because indeed, even if climate change it is a world trend, the climate-related effects are not so equal to all the contexts, especially related to geographical positioning and context. And so here, really a short picture to help you to understand where we are. We are a city in the northern western part of Italy, so Mediterranean area. We are a coastal city, and we are a medium-sized city. So that cities for that in the programming period, the next programming period, are foreseen as the jumping line. So we could help the smaller city, because most of us are metropolitan areas, are cities that are more or less not a step behind and not a step forward. We are in the middle in all the perspective. And we can also look at the main experiences of the bigger cities in order to have a look on what we want to become in the future. A bigger city with a lot of people squeezed, or something that is more homogeneous and more related to the rural context and the functional areas. So this is the main question: what we would like to become when we will be older. In a nutshell, just to introduce one of the main issues that are tricky for my city is that as a coastal city, we are also squeezed by mountains on our back and the sea on our front. Indeed, the urbanization of the city was in the past, but also now, is really full of a lot of constraints. So we need space. We have not so much space. So we have to find space in an unexpected way. And indeed, we have to rethink and to better use the space in a more rational way. And in the past, what we did, as always happens in coastal city, the coastal line that is 35 kilometers and 10 kilometers of extension towards the back, so towards the hill, is really full of building, so full of the gray aspect of a city. And the river and the torrent that are line and that lay down in all the context of the city has been covered in the past, because we need building, we need space, we need road, we need. And so what happens when the rain, when the weather extremes happens, and I put the graph here, especially in the last decades, indeed this covered torrent will raise their voice, and so the city pay the past choice of the urbanization that doesn't care about the space, and that the nature and also the relationship among water and the city. In this slide, I would like to show also that inside the city, in the core of the city, there is also one of the UNESCO recognizes since 2006 that is named Genoa, Le Strade Nuove, and the system of rolling palaces. This was ancient building belonging to the Renaissance period, and the historical center of the city has 3 souls. The first soul is belonging to the Middle Age. The second one is belonging to the Renaissance, and the third one is belonging to the 18th century. All this building has constraint from the Ministry of Culture and Cultural Heritage. And so when you talk about adaptation to climate change, an historical part of the city is not so easy to implement solutions that currently you can apply in the modern and recent part of the city. This is an issue because this means that you better know what would happen in the future, and how to protect, valorize, and also share the opportunity to grow of this ancient part of the city without damaging it anymore. In regards of this, the path of my city is a path of study that is not so usual, because the municipality in the last year lose a bit their ability to study and to really know what scenarios of the future will tell to them, because it is sort of marketplace for university, scientific research institution. But indeed, to better know what the future is showing to you and which are the possible effects of this future scenario, the cities need to upskill a bit and need to know what they are expected to face. Otherwise, what the science and scientific world will telling to you, you are not the ability to understand. There is also another issue that is related to the language. The language that is spoken by the scientific world is different from that one spoken by the politician, the technical part, the decision maker, and then the normal people that are the real lockout effect and are the real leverage to do something. And so in regards of this, our intention was to really study which are the main trends that could not only affect that are the main interest of the city for its sustainable, resilient development of the future. And these are the demographic change, climate change, and digital transition. These are the mega trends that are also recognized in the new latest charter, and are recognized in also the policies of the new programming period. And also during the pandemic, really upper and down trend also show to us that we have not to focus only to one major event, but we have to embed the knowledge in all the other mega trends, because otherwise we are still in the mess and in the middle, in the loop of responding and not preventing. And the pandemic showed to us that we are still in that struggling point some issue we are still responding to. And we didn't invest so much in prevention measure in doing in something that was different. But so now we have a big lesson learned also on this point. What we did, it was to study from the main reference what is the main challenge related to demographic change and also the other trends. I will show you in a nutshell really, really faster. Having a look what is the European perspective, because we are an European city. And then we downscale the scenario, downscale the major lesson learned, suggestion, recommendation, and so on at local scale, combining data from the global perspective to the local one. And on this point, we separate the two major effects: the negative effect of the scenarios induced by the scenarios and the positive effect. In this way, we ensure a sort of new ability to find a way to catch the opportunity for a sustainable development. But having a look at what does this mean to face the negative effect of the future scenarios. And what we did, we used a common language to bring the message to all the different parties. The public, okay, the political part, the digital, the decision maker, the technical, but also the enterprises, our main stakeholder, our civic association, so the third sector, and the people. We invite all of them all together, working with us and telling exactly to us what they need for change the perspective related to the future. Indeed, the digital or technological change is the trends that give us the majority of the opportunity. But are we sure to know exactly the effects related to climate and carbon dioxide emission of the digital needs that we have, the server farm, the energy that is needed to also to foster a digital transitioning that could be sustainable and circular? Are we sure to know exactly what does this mean, the spread of digital services and digital also not only the IoT, but digital skilling for the people? Are we sure to be really inclusive to all people, to have affordability and accessibility of good common services? So these are the questions that arose during this year of study. Thank you also to the Urban Agenda path that we did. And related to climate change, indeed, we are in the Mediterranean area, and so we are exposed to really a lot of possible risk in the future. And with the analysis that we did related to all of them, I would like to show this is the situation for our city. In this graph that is really simple, we have the occurrences on the axis and the possible damages in percentage. As I think that a lot of cities did, they have to think about the disease pandemic, because at the beginning of my analysis 3 years ago, this box was lower. Indeed, from 1 year, I have to change and to do again some analysis. And so even the occurrences are really low probability. The high impact scenario is really high, underestimated, also not from us, but also from the World Economic Forum, from other major agency that did the calculation, and they have to come back and to redraw the calculation of the damages, impacts, and so on. From the only climate related effects, what we did was in the last 2 years, we analyzed more than 100 of scenarios with all the references that we use, and then we isolated 51 that are the most probably occurrences in the city. And then we cluster them in 17 and then 12, that are the 12 that I showed to you, that are indeed the high probability, high impact scenario. And as you can see, the flood and heavy rain, the landslides, so the debris flow, the coastal erosion also are the scenarios and the possible risk to which we are looking for. But indeed, there is also an erasing regarding the heat wave, and the heat island effects in the city. That was something that in the last decade raised up, but was absolutely unknown from the common people. Instead, from 2 years to years and a half, it raised up as one of the major possible tricky point in the future. And so the lesson learned regarding this point is that once you are aware of the possible scenarios, you can also invest in capacity building, because otherwise, again, you cannot translate it in robust decision and concrete action to place on the ground. It remains only policy decision, only a framework, only a dream, but you do not put it on the ground the proper measure to minimize damages and possible future scenarios related effects. This is our path. It is quite a circular one. And so improving the local awareness or enhancing the local awareness related to future scenarios, what we did, we share and we compare our situation with other partners, other cities. We invest a lot of effort in European project and European partnership and in global also network, because we have to peer review our ability to reshape the city. Then we have to understand a bit more which are the current mechanisms and the future negotiation mechanisms to better know how to be more and more coherent with the major agendas, initiative, directive, and not only national willing, but what the world is asking to us as a city and what the EU is asking to us as a city. That's why we candidate ourselves to coordinating the partnership in the urban agenda for the EU. We learned so much from this experience, and we were able to downscale a local strategy using the same methodology. The partnership on climate adaptation is this one. So a lot of people, indeed, as all the partnership at the beginning, it is a voluntary mechanism. So we have no budget. We had no budget, and we are working still together. We will work for 1 year more. And I think that indeed, like in a lot of partnership and experience on climate adaptation, the results are not immediate. You have to be patient. You have to still invest, continue to invest, to use your knowledge, to improve it if you have not, to ask for technical assistance, ask for a sort of upskilling, and then you are able to do something really ground placed in your country and in your city for a future that could be built using a step-by-step process, because adaptation means long-term perspective and the results are not immediately on your ground, indeed. So you have not to lose the hope. This is our baseline. As you can see, a lot of documents that need to be also to be improved with the new one. We study really a lot, and I'm happy to do this, and I can tell you that everyone could do, because I am an employee of a municipality. I'm a technical, yes, okay, but I am like you, like all of the people that are connected, and those that I hope that could benefit of the recorded session in the future. Indeed, our main documents, because you have to put on the ground also your ideas, your policy decision in a document, in a programming document or in a planning document. These are the major one. And even though we have also the urban plan that every city has, the urban plan, the sustainable urban mobility plan, then you have the civil protection, so the emergency disaster risk management plan. The city municipality has a lot of plans. These are different. From the left side, the urban agenda for the EU is the plan that has this breadth to the better policies, so the better regulation, the better funding, the better knowledge at EU level, so we could raise also our voice in telling to the EU what we need. And indeed, in a really short, we need as a city technical assistance and okay, a funding framework, okay, but we need fundamentally technical assistance. So we need to be more in touch with institutions that give us money. We need sometimes to have some technical assistance, also to interpret in the right way the climate related data and services. So we need a bit more of training with more sometimes I have to say more empathy, if it is possible, because it's not easy sometimes for the smaller city to put the right question, because it's not easy to really understand. They know the problem, but they don't know what they could do in a new way. And then the other documents that more or less are related to the city resilience strategy, that is the Lighthouse one, and the management plan of the UNESCO recognizes heritage, the SECAP, because we signed the SECAP in 2009, and then we approve our new SECAP, so for the 2030, and the last one that is a really new and innovative also framework of action to operationalize the city resilience strategy at 30-60 degrees related to the mega trends that I showed you before. In a really nutshell, to do something like this, because you need to put on the ground your thought and then your action, what we did, it was to clarify in a really common language which are the issues, three main drivers of change, and then leaving back all the technical analysis of scenarios and so on, because it was understandable. So what we tried to translate was the results and the common realities. And then we embed it in three assets of work: the gray, the green, and the soft, that are the assets commonly recognized also for the adaptation to climate change plan. And the blue is embedded, the blue measure are embedded also in the green asset as urban regeneration as a whole. And then three main goals. And as you can see, there is not the response. There is not more the answer to the problem when the problem happens, when the occurrence is present. But we invest in anticipation to prevent damages, but not only to strengthen the socioeconomic fabric tissue, the people, the community. And this is the core of this action plan for, well, till now, because we have to start to have a look to 2050. I choose 2050 on one hand because the EU Green Deal is our main super target on 2050, but also because the scenarios, the uncertainty related to the scenarios and the related effects that are posed on the ground by the IPCC intergovernmental reports, panel, and all the studies are acceptable till 2050. Then the uncertainty is too high, and it is really difficult for us to sustain also investment. So in a nutshell, these are our main action. This action start not from zero. So they are not ground zero and then we have to start to use some project and funding. No, we already capitalized what we did in the past, and we recognize the value of adaptation of all our investment in these three main assets, in this focus, and then we connect that investment to the action. That this is a way of working that all cities could do, because all the cities are already doing something on adaptation. Sometimes they are not so aware that they are doing something on adaptation, because we talk in different language, we talk the intervention in a different way, and but indeed we are working on this incredible fields of opportunity to develop our urban settlement and also our prosperity for the future. Now I will show to you the investment framework, some example really fast. The investment framework that we are using now, and which are the expectation also for the future, and also the innovative part of the measuring. So how to monitor the action plan, but also how to monitor the impacts of our action in 6 transversal qualities of a city. All the city need to be inclusive, sustainable, needs to guarantee well-being for the people, and need to be attractive for population, not only population, be attractive for their prosperity, for their perspective for the future. And also they have to look to the development and the skilling and the abilities of their different communities. They have to integrate all the community, and indeed they have to be more livable. For this is the ground, no, the qualities are that one that will draw the future. And the indicators, this framework that we develop is divided into the axis, as you can see. So the gray, the green, and the soft. The soft, it is the bigger one, and this is incredible, because what I will show to you is exactly the contrary. I have to fast. Yes, I see. Wow. I show you what, right? Well, really, I should use some criticalities, because a lot of cities invest in gray infrastructure. So the gray asset is the asset that is more suitable for investment. And the last year, a lot of cities invest instead on green infrastructure, but the investment are not so high like the gray one. And we are trying to changing this way of working. And indeed, the issue is that, as you can see also in the gray asset, we have a lot of investment. And as you can see, it is the majority of the investment is laid down to this asset, because the damages are on critical infrastructure, on the people, on the economic asset. And so in the past, we need a lot of money to respond to recovery facilities and to start and to reboot the system to go ahead. And the issue is that even if we start and we need to improve our investment on the gray assets, so the nature-based solution, the green infrastructure, the new ecosystem services facilities in the city, we are really aware of this, and this is the issue of our action plan, and now to reboot and to reboost the green infrastructure and the green investment. Indeed, and also in circular economy. And so there are some investment framework that are interest. The issue is how we are investing instead in the soft asset. The soft asset is incredible lower in the investment framework of the city, because it is not so easy to really understand the power of investment in soft skill, investment in new governance framework, investment in new abilities, investment in new planning facilities. It is not so easy to understand that all these measures could be the soft measure that will avoid the lock-in effect on adaptation. And so what we did, in fact, in our action plan, we developed 5 actions on the soft asset, big action, exactly on these fields. I put here only 2 examples, because indeed the time is really finished for me. But yeah. But the issue is also, well, adaptation without mitigation is not possible. Indeed, you know that also the covenant asks to the city to use combined action to maximize also the results and to mainstream the action to also to maximize the effects and so on. So I would like to just this is really a nutshell, that just to show to you that we are also proud, not proud, well, we are also we are also investing a lot on mitigation, and we will invest a lot, especially in using the new programming period. So this is I'm very happy to send the presentation to all of you. I'm happy to be here and to so to answer to some question, and so everything is also fully downscalable on the website that is in the presentation. So all our documents are free for everyone.
Stefania, many thanks. I know I feel the passion and I feel the emotions. I know it's not easy to stop the presentation because you are talking about your town, your city. I see that there are no questions at the moment, and yet I still have like maybe 2-3 questions that I would like to ask you. Okay, we do have a question. So please, great presentation. I'll just read it loud from Bernd. What is the approximate distribution of funding sources needed for gray, green, and soft investment, municipal budget, private funding, EU funding? Very interesting question. Thank you, Bernd.
Well, in regards the percentage, I do not calculate, but in a nutshell, I can say that for the entire municipal budget, it's not so easy because there are too many interventions in other fields. But related to adaptation to climate change, indeed, the majority of investment comes from EU structural funds and from the member states investment facility, that we benefit of this investment in the past. Indeed, the private investor are in the last 2 years for us are a big source of investment. For instance, the CIB investment facility, they give us a loan of 50 million euros, a really huge amount of money that we use for exclusively resilient intervention and adaptation to climate change intervention. It was one of the criteria for the submission of the application.
Mm-hmm. So. Stefania, so I go ahead with I have 2 questions. The one is on the key obstacles and barriers. So quite obvious. I know you mentioned the capacity building, raising awareness, engagement with citizens. But if you can name, maybe the 3 main obstacles and barriers that you feel that are really also maybe in view how also from the Commission or from national member state, from the national authorities, what could be done differently, or how could we support cities? And then I have a provocative question a bit, and the Mediterranean area is it's a specific area. So my question would be, do you feel that it's too late for adaptation, or are we still in the message of hope?
The first answer on the key barrier. First barrier is the clear regulation, a clear regulatory framework. And I really appreciate the effort of the EU in revising the strategy, in introducing the climate pact and the climate law, because we need clear regulation. And the other barrier is the ability of the member states to be effective in telling to in telling to the city what they have to do, which are the current measures. So a good catalog of measures, but also a modern catalog, please, modern, because otherwise we are alone and we have to do everything from the ground to the upper level. The third barrier is the real and concrete awareness of what does climate change means. Not only from the mitigation. A lot of people talk about mitigation and they think to energy efficiency, sustainable mobility, and they are happy to. Less people talk about circularity, models, abilities, improving, blah, blah. And also related to adaptation, there are still some struggling point in the investment facility because your results are are not so easy to be presented using simulation calculation. And the value of adaptation, it is something that you have your embed in your investment framework. You have to
It's not like a bankable project.
Yeah, bankable project, but also for the politician. They also, because the
value
last barrier,
of,
the last barrier is still struggling. It is the political cycle mandate that is too short to embed adaptation, because it is something that is a long-term perspective. And this could be maybe overcome in inducing adaptation in all the planning documents of the city, because the planning documents of the city has a time frame that is different from the political one.
Okay, thank you so much, because we have 3 minutes left. Is it too late for Mediterranean area or? No,
I'm happy to tell to you this in 1 minute. I think that for some impacts we are late. We are late. For instead some other impacts, there is possibility to do something more and more. Well, not to stop, because it is a trend, and so there is a kind of also inertia and a mechanism in stopping its effect. But for some other impacts, we have time to do something, but we have to act now. With the we have to be brave in this. But for some impact, I think that we are quite late. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Stefania. And I think also to all of you that participated, that engaged in this session. To me, like, the messages that I take from this session is definitely the one on collecting the data and like really the scientific data, how to communicate it to the politicians, to public administrations, to citizens. So we can really build the capacity in this field. We can build also awareness. And this brings us to empowerment of all layers. So really also this engagement and communication across sectors. I really enjoyed that you mentioned how this holistic approach, how important it is, because it's really our city. So it concerns us all, and really involve stakeholders, providers, citizens, everyone within the local economy. And I'm really happy to hear that from globalization, we are moving to local economies. And local green deals, local climate pacts, local engagement, because this is where I feel that the emotion and inspiration is. And this actually triggers, in my view, the action, because also the motto that we protect what we love, and we usually love the city where we live. So I thank you very much, Stefania. It was a very passionate presentation. I learned a lot because I work with the covenants. So I'm happy that you also mentioned SECAP, the plans, and how important they are, and all the vision and the urban agenda. So many thanks. And I also thank Nancy for the technical support, because that made my moderation very easy. So Nancy, thank you. And also to other people that are behind the screen, because the investment forum, it's lots of work. We have been working, the whole team, for 6 months on that, maybe even longer. So many thanks. And I would like to invite all to the next session. So we are starting only in 15 minutes. And it will be another session on adaptations, social innovation, and talking about evolving regions. So really, again, we will talk about the shared value. And as Stefania said, like the value for the city, how do we want to grow? What is the prosperity? Where do we want to live? So please join us at 10. Many thanks.
Bye-bye, and thank you.
Thank you.